Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Playing World of Tanks. Today we'll be looking at a couple of games in my American Tier 9 heavy tank, the M103, and the other not so heavy tank, the T54E1, though I do feel like its mobility kind of like lends itself sometimes to be more of a heavy tank instead. Now, the M103 is probably the best all-round heavy tank at Tier 9. It has good armor, very good gun, decent mobility. Certainly by no means it exceeds at any one of those criteria within its respective tier, but the sum of its parts makes it a very, very good heavy tank. So I'm going to come to these rocks, and I'm just going to poke up and see what I'm going to be facing. I take a shot at the Tiger 2 and just fall back. Now I see that there's a Tiger 1 pushing around the corner and the T32. Not wanting to give them easy shots, I'm just gonna go and engage them. Now this Tiger 2 is so far outclassed in this match that, it's unfortunate, but, he just can't really do anything. Unless I make a mistake. I'm gonna, just farm damage off of him practically. Like, not give him a chance to get easy shots. Now the T34 also joins me around here, and he'll be more of a punching bag, unfortunately, because he didn't actually know what he was trying to do around this corner except maybe get some damage done. The T32, wisely so, hiding behind the Tiger 1's corpse, is trying to get out of the line of fire. And, I'm trying to snipe at his commander's hatch, which, is not, at this range I should be easily be penning, but I don't. Now the SCI appears kind of late to the party. I'm already kind of in position. The T32 probably either shot my, he shot my commander's cupola. And, I kind of like go forward, trying to figure out what would be a good angle to approach him. Unfortunately for him, one of his sides is actually showing to the right of the Tiger P, which is what I'm taking advantage of right here. I go again and sort of like hit the identical spot again. The T32 is now unfortunately not in his element right now. The SDI fires. I think he kind of misses. He was trying to take a snapshot. The T32 wisely gets behind the Tiger 1 again, but it's only a matter of time. One of these shots will actually be dead center on his commander's hatch and pen. The STI fires in the movement, pens me. I think he has just way too much penetration for me to sort of like mount. Now instead of going out like and aiming for his upper plate, I'm just gonna come out and sort of like aim for his commander's hatch, which is at this range is kind of not hard to pen. Now I'm trying to aim for his commander's hatch. He was wiggling his turret, anticipating that I was gonna shoot his hatch again, but instead I just had an easy shot at his lower plate. Now I knew the SDI was going to go ham and try to put one shot into me, so I angle my tracks towards him, and that's the shot he gets. I come out again, and at this range it's kind of hard not to pen his lower plate, and that makes it incredibly easy kill for me. I high roll the T32 and take him out of the game. Now the only things left in the game are going to be fairly straightforward. It's just gonna be sort of like picking damage as we go along. Now talking about the M103, it's by no means like master at any one thing. The gun is not that good. The armor isn't that great. E75 probably has a better armor. The Conqueror has a better gun. But the complete package, when put together, makes this tank very compelling. And American heavy tanks are one of the best lines to play up to anyways, since most of the tanks are fairly serviceable at their tiers. T32 is by no means a slouch. The M103 is a decent tank. The T29 is an amazing tank. So in case you were still like confused about like which tank to sort of like which tank line to grind on, and it's your first time in the game, I guess like the M103 and the American heavy tank line is probably the best one to grind up So we're here, you know, I was anticipating getting shot by one of the two RDs, and the M40 hit me. I decided not to repair any of my, any of the things there, just because, like, you know, I only had one more shot in the game, and I didn't think it was, you know, relatively needed. And so this is probably one of the best, one of the most flawless games I played in World of Tanks in my M103, just because, like, I only took damage when it was necessary, never took any damage that was not necessary. T32 shot me, but, you know, you can control everything. So in this game, I'm in a platoon. Last game I was solo, so I'm gonna be coordinating some of my efforts with my platoon mates. And right off the bat, we see an awful Panther just like charging in, guns blazing at the VK20E1, who is in our platoon. Now, unfortunately for him, you know, I kind of like relocated fast enough to sort of like pick him off. I see the AMX 1375 also charging in, and he gets picked up as well relatively easily. Now, I saw the AMX 1375 got to his place relatively unchallenged, and so I kind of like decided at this point either they're all camping way far back in their base, and at this point whatever battle is gonna happen in the city. So I sort of like preemptively start relocating towards the city. Now I know that the couple of tanks that have been spotted are going to be very heavily armored, so I'm not taking any chances. I load APCR rounds for the T110E4, which I'm pretty sure is going to be my first target, and I don't want to bounce a shot on that tank given how much armor that thing has. So the T54E1, I mean, I kind of like enjoy tier 9 tanks, but I think I've been spoiled after playing the T54, the Russian tier 9 medium tank. Just nothing can just compete with that package as far as the armor, the mobility, the gun and everything put together on that tank is just amazing. And if I was to play one tank at tier 9, it would probably be the T54. I mean, granted, I don't fire heat rounds out of that tank unless it's absolutely necessary, but you know, in some cases, you know, I've been trying not to fire heat rounds at all out of the T54, and you know, with limited success, I might add. Like, I mean, it's not always the case. Now I see the T110E4 fired. I go around, instead of like just aiming in the front, I sort of like track him twice. Luckily, I wasn't actually meaning to. I fire my last shot into him, and he gets picked off. E50M fires one shot into my side. Man, that's okay. You know, it's a good trade, doing about 1600 damage for, you know, for a tier 10. I mean, on the tier 10 tank for one shot for about 400 damage. I mean, I don't think it was a bad trade. Now, the RD in this game was just brutal. Those two get taken out by a single RD shell, and I'm just waiting until my reload's done so I can go pick off this IS-3. I fire one more shot into him, and the second shot is enough to finish him off. At this point, I actually didn't need to fire APCR rounds. I actually wasn't looking at what ammunition loadout I had. So, I mean, from this point onwards, I actually didn't need APCR to do most of the damage in this tank. I mean, even if you look at the T110E4, I actually didn't need APCR rounds even on that tank, just because I went around and, you know, shot him. Maybe I might have bounced the first shot initially, but, you know, the other three would have connected relatively easily. Now, I'm trying to figure out what the E50M and the Tortoise are thinking. I don't know whether they're coming out or going in, and, you know, the building just kind of like gets in the way and slows down my progress even further. And so here, you know, you'll see what, you know, you should be doing once you're reloading and caught against the TD with your pants down. So I've loaded my clip, and initially I thought I was gonna go clip out the Tortoise, because, you know, just because you know, he was more or less isolated. I did not know at this point where the E50M was, and the E50M sees me by myself and decides to take a chance. Unfortunately for him, he comes out at the wrong moment and he gets picked off relatively quickly. Now, I thought we had like 3 tanks, and this would not be this big of a deal picking off a tortoise. I mean, an E100 should not take damage from a tortoise if he knows what he's doing. But what's gonna happen, you know, you'll see pretty shortly. E100 bounces his shell on the tortoise, and now he has a 70-second reload, and so he gets picked off by the arty. Now, what I'm doing is I'm hugging the backside of the tortoise. I did not, want to get shot. As soon as he starts going backwards, I sort of like side hug him, and I know at this point I just can't circle him any further, and so instead of like sticking around, I run and hide behind the buildings next to me because I don't want to get shot by that tank any further. Now, as I'm like playing Ring Around the Rosie, unfortunately for me, the Conqueror gun carriage shaves off half my health with one shot, and at this point I just know, I'm screaming at my platoon mates, somebody take out that arty, I'm gonna die here facing a single tortoise, not because anything I did, but because they just failed to kill 2 arty. And I go and hide behind the other boxes. At this point I take a chance, and I know I need to get out of here relatively quickly. Arty will still be aiming for me, God knows what reason. Their base is getting overwhelmed, and they're still deciding to fire into the city for some reason. I ignore the tortoise altogether. He's just too slow to sort of like make his way back, and I'm just gonna go and help out this flank, who was having a tough time trying to kill 2 arty and the Tiger 2 for some reason. And so the Conqueror, still wants me. He fires, misses me completely. I fire him on the move and pick him off. The M53 gets taken out as well. And, the Tiger 2 is by himself now. And he's going to get picked off relatively shortly here. First shot misses, but I know I have another shot for him. I let that one aim. And, that is all she wrote for the poor Tiger 2. Now I'm starting to reload again, and I spot the tortoise. At this point the tortoise is by himself, and it's gonna be an easy picking. One thing people forget about the tortoise is even if it's going over a hill, you're showing your weak spot right on top of the tank, and it's kind of hard to protect that weak spot at the top, which I'm gonna take advantage of. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our limited coverage of World of Tanks. Feel free to rate and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode of World of Tanks.